All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really big idea, sovereign AI. And to help us get our heads around it, we're going to look at a system called CriticalOS. The whole point here is to figure out what it means to actually own your AI, not just rent it from someone else.
So let's just start with a really simple question. Think about the AI you use, every single day, for writing, for coding, maybe for making art. Have you ever stopped to think, who's really in charge here? Who's pulling the strings?
Well, the reality for pretty much every AI system out there is the control isn't with you, the user. Nope, it's held by some corporation or a cloud provider, some other outside group. And they can watch what you do, they can throttle your access, they can even change the rules of the game whenever they want, without even telling you.
But what if there was a totally different way to do things? This is exactly where the concept of sovereign AI enters the picture. It's all about a massive shift in who actually holds the power.
Okay, so here's the real difference. Think of it like this. With standard AI, you're basically a renter. You're living on someone else's property, they can watch you, they can tell you what you can and can't do, and they can change the lease. But sovereign AI, it's totally different. Now you own the property. You got the keys, you got the deed, you have all the authority. It's the huge difference between just being a user and being a true owner.
So the big question is, how does a system like this actually work under the hood? Well, looking at the material on CriticalOS, this idea of control is built on a few really key technical pillars. Okay, first up is what they call deterministic control. And the idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's super powerful. It means that everything the AI does, every single thing, is traceable. There are no secret backdoors, no hidden lines of code. The owner can audit every single action. Next up, you've got cryptographic proofs. This is basically your security guarantee. The best way to think about it is like a digital notary, stamping every document. The system uses some pretty advanced stuff, like Merkle anchoring, to create this unique, unchangeable digital fingerprint for every single action. What you get is a permanent, verifiable record that proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the system has not been messed with. And all of this builds up to the central promise, right? Owner-only authority. What does that mean? It means nobody else gets in. No one. No sneaky, silent updates happening in the background. And, this is the big one, absolutely no data collection, unless you explicitly approve it. You hold the keys. End of story. Now, the source also talks about a big performance advantage, and they call it prompt economy mastery. So in plain English, what's that? It just means getting better, more precise answers from the AI while using way fewer resources. The whole idea is to make every single prompt you give it as efficient as humanly possible, which they claim allows it to outperform even standard models.
And finally, we have the memory architecture. This is really cool. The system uses these layers of memory and something called arbitration logic. You can think of that logic as a judge, constantly weighing the evidence to decide which bits of information are the most relevant and, more importantly, the most truthful. And the goal of all this? Something the source calls maximum truth fidelity. It's a bit of a fancy term, but it just means the AI is designed from the ground up to be as accurate as it can possibly be.
Okay, so all of that sounds amazing in theory. But it's one thing to make these big claims, and it's a whole other thing to actually prove them, right? So how can an owner really verify all this control? Well, the entire idea of sovereign AI really hangs on that one word, proof. And that gets us to the most crucial point, this whole principle of verifiable integrity. The owners shouldn't have to just take someone's word for it that the system is secure and private. They shouldn't have to just trust. They should be able to prove it for themselves anytime they want. And this right here, this is a snapshot of what that proof actually looks like. It's a public record. So that ledger entry, that's basically the page number in a permanent, unchangeable book. The commit timestamp tells you the exact second a change was locked in. And then you have the Merkle root and commit hash. Those are those unique cryptographic fingerprints we talked about. They are the mathematical proof that verifies the integrity of everything at that precise moment.
Okay, so this brings us back to the big so what question. Why go through all this technical trouble for a different kind of AI? I mean, why does this whole idea of true ownership actually matter?
I think the central motivation is captured perfectly in this one quote from the source material. AI is power, and power without control is risk. Wow. I mean, that one sentence really frames the entire philosophy behind this whole concept of sovereign AI, doesn't it? Because that lack of control, it leads to some very real risks. Think about it. Your access to a tool you rely on could just be shut off tomorrow. Your activity could be monitored without you ever knowing it. And your data, It could be collected and used in ways you absolutely did not agree to. These are the exact problems that a sovereign system is built to solve.
And so, this is where we land. The big takeaway here is that the promise of sovereign AI, it isn't just about a better, faster tool, it's about a fundamentally different relationship with technology itself. It's a vision where you don't just use AI, you truly own it. And that leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about. In a future that's going to be absolutely dominated by AI, is anything less than total ownership really safe at all?